All right, so we are officially live on a Sunday night, helping people quit nicotine, cannabis, and other substances. And momentarily, I'll be taking questions. And basically, what I do during these lives is I just wait for questions to come in the comments, and then I answer those questions as they come in. Now, if you're new here, my name's Dr. Frank, and if you are a business owner, entrepreneur, or high-level professional struggling in silence with a substance use disorder, we have a science-backed method to help you quit in less than 48 hours. We can do this privately from the comfort of your own home, without rehabs, without group meetings, without public shame. I put a link in the video description and pinned comment where you can learn more. All right, guys, let's get it right into it. All right, so we got Dion, we got Ahmed, we got Oxloppy. What's going on, guys? How are you? So what I'll do typically during these lives is I will answer questions as they come in, okay? So if you have questions for me, just start asking, and the more specific you can be with your questions, the better off this will go, okay? All right, so we have someone saying, I relapsed after 6 months. So I'm going to be dropping a video very soon on like relapse, okay? But again, I say this on all my lives. You have to get rid of the word relapsed. If you want to stop relapsing, remove that word from your vocabulary. The idea that you spontaneously combusted into a return to substance use is not realistic. Rather say, I chose to go back to consuming the drug after 6 months. Then you have to start to identify, why did you choose to go back to consuming the drug? You may say something like, some stressful event occurred, okay? So now we have to say, okay, was it the stressful event that made you relapse, or was it your perception of stress relief still associated with drug consumption that led you back to that choice of going to go back to consume the drug, okay? Now, another big thing that you got to keep in mind too that's going to help you, 6 months, whatever. You have to put a relapse in perspective. What catastrophic thing happened after you return to substance use? In many cases for people, there may be a return to substance use at some point in their life, but the outcomes of that are not always super negative. Sometimes there's literally net neutral outcomes, right? Someone quit drinking, they went back to drinking for a little bit, nothing changed. They were hungover for a few days. So I think you have to let go too of this notion of like, after 6 months, after a set amount of time, I relapsed. Because what winds up happening is when you're counting days, you think you've lost something tremendous if you go back to substance use. And in many cases, that simply isn't true. Whether it's, 6 months or 7 days, in many cases doesn't make that much of a difference. If someone lost 50 pounds and they gained back 2 pounds, would you think anything of it? Probably not. But what happens is people get a lot of shame, they get a lot of regret, they get a lot of fear, they become very scared when they relapse, and then this leads to continued substance use and continued problematic choices, okay? So that's where I start with people. That's like the surface level stuff that I do with people if we're dealing with relapses, okay? Tammy says, I'm trying to quit smoking cigarettes. So I like to tell people, language matters. How you talk to yourself matters. And I know I say quitting drugs all the time, quitting cannabis, okay? Get rid of the word quit. You are looking to commit to quit smoking. You are looking to commit to becoming a non-smoker, okay? Quitting would imply some ongoing process. Quitting could imply this back and forth type thing. Now, if I'm framing it as I'm looking to commit to stop smoking cigarettes because I am committing to better physical health, better financial health, stronger relationships, whatever it is, that's something that I can get excited about. If I'm saying to myself constantly, I'm quitting, no one likes a quitter. That's not exciting. And for a lot of people that I work with a lot of people who are very ambitious. They're extremely driven, in many cases very successful in several aspects of their lives. The idea of quitting something just doesn't do it. It doesn't get the juices flowing, okay? Now, are you trying to quit or are you going to quit? Because there's nothing stopping you from quitting cigarettes or committing to stop smoking aside from yourself. So, right? Like are you going to or are you saying like you're going to give this the old college try? Which one are you going with? Now I could go on and on. into the actually logistics of quitting cigarettes if we want to as well, but I'll save that for a little bit. Well, I'll just throw it out there. You have so many options. Now, it doesn't matter what option you go with, whether it's cold turkey, whether it's medication, which I don't really recommend for cigarettes, but whether it's nicotine replacement therapy like patches, whether it's harm reduction like pouches. I mean, there's so many things you could do, but all of that is supplemental to the mindset, okay? Mindset is number one when it comes to quitting a substance. Your belief, the way you speak to yourself, the way you perceive this experience is number one across the board. That's proven in literature time and time again. Everything else is supplemental, okay? Yeah, of course, easy work 34. I really appreciate that. I have a lot of fun doing this stuff. As you can tell, I get pretty fired up about it. I'm literally like, I think I was pretty sick the last 2 weeks with my two children. We got like, God knows what, COVID, this, that, who knows what came through our house. And yeah, I'm excited to have a voice again so I can actually do these things. Okay, Darth Vader fan. I turned 30 on Friday and did something stupid and drank. Do I need to go back to rehab? Probably not. The only reason I would say, now I don't know how much you've been drinking, but I can't imagine from Friday to Sunday it's been that heavy. The only reason I'm sending someone to a rehab, and by the way, I'm not sending them. The only reason I would endorse that, which I never do, right? You guys got to realize, like, what I do is I work with people and we help them quit substances in the comfort of their own home, complete privacy. No one knows about it. Even if we're doing medical detoxes, I'm teaming up with medical doctors to do that in the person's house for them, okay? And we work with people not only all across the state, but all around the world. But no, the only reason you'd go to rehab would be maybe for a medical detox. But almost everything else that happens at a rehab, I disagree with, right? We just worked with a guy here locally in my area in New York, right? High-level business owner, goes to this ultra-exclusive rehab. And I was like, what'd you do there? Because he started drinking 2 weeks after he came home. And he was like, honestly, he's like, I did finger painting, I played golf, I had a few really crappy therapy sessions, and I was out about 60 grand after that. I was like, yeah, it sucks. That's a lot of people's experiences in rehabs. I actually, when I'm working with people who have gone to rehab, usually I'm undoing a lot of what the rehab taught them, because a lot of rehabs are just 12-step programs with a high price tag on it. And this notion of you're diseased, once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic, the idea that because you drank and look, you acknowledged it was something stupid, you regretted it. So now you can decide whether or not you want to do that again. Unless somehow you've developed a physical dependence on alcohol between Friday and Sunday, then I would advise a medical detox. But even in that case, you don't need a rehab for that. There's other places you can do medical detoxes. Like I said, we do them all the time, coordinating with medical doctors here in people's houses for them, okay? So, that's exactly right. There's no such thing as a relapse, right? There's literally a conscious decision to consume a drug or not consume a drug based on your preferences or your perception of what you perceive in that moment, okay? That is the most powerful thing you can understand when it comes to quote-unquote relapse prevention. Now, as I'm ranting about relapse or conscious decisions to return to use, there are typically some points that we see with people where we have an expectation that they might get a little shaky. During the acute withdrawal stage, then we'll have like the celebratory stage. I'm feeling so good, I'm going to use substances again. We'll have it during like high moments of stress, high moments of celebration, and then I'd say moments of flatness, just that kind of flat line that happens to people sometimes after they quit using substances, okay? So, okay, very good. Itchy guy 123. I'm substance free, including caffeine, and feel great, but my final boss is adult media content. How bad do you think it really is for the brain? Any tips? Listen, you guys have to remember something about adult media content. If you go way back in history, like way back, they were having orgies in public, right? Like this would go back to like Roman times and stuff like that, okay? So first of all, like we're driven to want sexual interactions, okay? So there's a human element to that. Now, how bad is it for the brain? I don't know how much you're watching it. I don't know the type of content you're watching. I don't know what tolerance you've developed for adult media content and what threshold you've kind of set in your brain. Okay. So there's a lot of factors that go into this. I don't know how old you are. Is it good for the brain to watch adult media content all the time? Probably not. Okay. And I'm ignoring the ethics side of adult media content too, right? Because there's a whole other ethical debate that we could be having about this based on religion, based on personal ethics, right? And all of that's going to play a role in how this does or does not impact your brain. Okay. But look, when we talk about bad for the brain, junk food is bad for the brain, okay? Breathing in pollutants is bad for the brain. Sleep deprivation, which could be related to cannabis consumption, alcohol consumption, high sugar content is bad for the brain, right? So, you know what I mean? We could really go down a rabbit hole with that conversation. But I tell you, don't overstress how bad it is for your brain, because you're going to get into the state where you think you've permanently screwed up your brain. It's going to create fear. It's going to create anxiety. And if you feel you get a release through watching adult media content, you're going to go back to doing that. So don't worry about that. Chances are you're young. Chances are your brain is going to heal just fine. Okay? Don't let that fear mongering get to you. But how bad is it impacting your life right now? That's really the question at hand, right? That's really what it is. Could you see a better quality of life without adult media content, and why do you believe that to be so? Okay? No more blackjack. 11 days after choosing to go back to consuming after having 1.5 years off. Okay, and so right, great. So you chose to go back. I'd be curious about what your experience has been. Are you moderating? Are you going back to full-on consumption? Right? No judgment here. Okay. Guys, that's the other thing too. People don't realize, like, there are a lot of people who will go through like serious substance use problems and at one point in their life return to moderate, non-problematic use. This happens all the time. You don't hear about this though from the rehabs. You don't hear about this though from other people because it's not profitable. Okay, now, Bald001, what do I do when life is beating me down and it feels like it's hopeless? I use it to feel better when I feel like life is getting to me. So is that drug effectively helping you when you feel down and when you feel hopeless? If it is, I'm not going to be the person trying to convince you to stop. Okay, but you're here for a reason, and that reason is probably it's not helping you as much as you think it is. So when you feel hopeless, it usually means that you feel like in some realm of your life you're out of options. When people feel like, I work with a lot of people, brilliantly smart, highly successful people, okay? Physicians, attorneys, investors, business owners that have built companies that I couldn't fathom building myself, couldn't fathom it, okay? And I'll talk to them and they'll come to me and they'll say, I feel hopeless on my substance use. I think I'm out of options. And that is a horrible, horrible place to be in, okay? So when you feel hopeless, I tell people start by assessing your options and really start to question whether or not you have exercised all the options on the table, okay? Now, secondly, you have to ask yourself, if life is constantly beating you down, you have to ask yourself, what is your tolerance for facing challenges and struggles in life? And is substance use increasing your tolerance for those challenges and your capability to take them on, or is substance use taking away from that? Okay, so when I feel like life is beating me down and everything's going against me, I'm making a video about this soon, actually. Okay, what I do is I try and lock in. I try and get my sleep better. I try and lock in my nutrition. I try and lock in, stress management, hobbies, relaxation, whatever it is I need to do to combat that when life tries to beat me down. And I literally view every time I get kicked, I view it as an opportunity to come back up and come back stronger. I reframe it. I don't see life as beating me down. I see life as teaching me very harsh, in some cases, lessons that I never wanted to experience and that I don't think is fair, that I don't think it's fair that I experience these lessons. But I say, what level of growth am I going to achieve if I walk away from this? Okay, that's the question. And that's something that a lot of you guys, there's a lot of people in here who value growth. Growth is a beautiful thing. There's a lot of people in here who value that. And there is no growth in substance consumption. There's not. It's the same story day in and day out. It's actually a very boring experience. Just people miss that because they're under the delusion of the substance. Okay, so life is beating me down. Challenging circumstances is coming. And I say, if I survive this, what next level is that going to push me through in my relationship, in my physical health, in my mental health, in my stress tolerance? Every challenging opportunity I face is an opportunity to increase my stress tolerance for the next challenging thing that life throws at me. Okay. So I don't view, like, I don't even see life as beating me down. I just don't view it that way. Right. So I just some stuff for you on that. Okay. Now, Darth Vader said I had a voice in my head and I fought it and it told me it wouldn't be a bad idea. So you're talking about going back to consuming substances. So was it a bad idea or was it not? Right? That's the question. I apologize, guys. I'm still getting over, I don't even know what. We'll see if I can do this live. Actually, as I'm talking, I'm realizing how jacked up my voice still is. Okay. I say I need to just quit. Colleen, that is great. That's fine. I just need to quit. I need to commit to being the person that I want to be. That's a reasonable thing. And listen, there's a whole approach to quitting substances that you, and I use this approach with some people. It depends on the person. Everyone's different, the approach that I use with them, depending on their circumstances. But there are some people who are very much, I am going to do what needs to ought to be done. Period. No ifs, ands, or buts. It doesn't matter what the outcomes are. It doesn't matter what life throws at me. I'm going to do what ought to be done. Period. That is a solid approach. If you got that mentality and you're that type of person, that's awesome. Now, I could expand on that a little bit more and I could say, okay, I'm going to do what ought to be done. And if I do what ought to be done, life should work out decent for me. I'm going to eat healthy. I'm going to work hard. I have a faith background. I'm going to have a faith background. I'm going to provide for my family. I'm going to take care of myself physically. I'm going to work out as when I can to a healthy degree, right? And if I do these things, life should go well for me. Like at some point or another, things should start working out, right? But if I'm smoking weed, watching porn, not exercising, trash diet, not taking care of things, not addressing family issues, life probably is not going to be kind to you. I hate to say that, but you play a large role in the environment in which you currently live, believe it or not. And I say that as someone who has been in some very not ideal environments and someone who's lived a life where I can't believe how fortunate I am, right? So I've been on both sides of that spectrum before, okay? All right, let's see here. I'm in a chain. I feel like I sleep to wake up and smoke and wake up to smoke. Right away, I have the next plan regarding use rehearsed in my head before it plays out. How can I break this loop? Why are you smoking though? What, right? So one, there may be a physical dependence. And the only way to break the physical dependence is a period of time away from the substance, okay? Secondly, I think in a scenario like this, you have to ask yourself, why are you continuing to consume the substance? If it's not just driven by extreme withdrawal symptoms upon stopping or a physical dependence, why are you doing it? Maybe you're doing this because you think it helps with the boredom, because you think it helps with the anxiety. Well, I'll tell you what, living that same day over and over again, just like I did, as someone who, by the way, has a private, medical practice, I'm a chiropractor, as someone who was in and out of meaningful relationships throughout my substance use. Like I had a good life going on, even when I was using drugs. Like it wasn't that bad for me. Okay. But guess what? That same behavior, day in and day out, over and over again, it's boring. And so many people are like, I use drugs because I'm bored without it. Do you realize one of the main reasons people quit drugs is because they're bored? They're like, I am living the same day over and over again. I don't even want to be living this day over and over again anymore in active substance use. Literally, drug use, continuous drug use is boring. Spontaneous drug use, yeah, there might be some excitement to that. But generally speaking, it gets lame when you're talking about active substance use. And it's crazy because people will consume drugs thinking like it helps me with the boredom, right? I'll say to you too, how do you break this chain? Start to recognize that you value growth. You value growth. You will never find that in continued substance use, living the same day over and over again. Okay? Excuse me, guys. All right. I left cannabis behind 33 days ago. Oh, awesome. What's the biggest change? Okay, Anthony. Yep, I recognize you, Anthony. I know it's you. Way less anxiety, more stable mood. Yeah, guys, the amount of people who I work with who quit, one of the main driving factors is always mood and emotional regulation. They have a family, they have kids, they need better emotional regulation. They work a lot, they run a business, they got a high stress job, attorney, physician, surgeon, something like that. They need solid emotional regulation, and they recognize that drug consumption disrupts that. Whether it's alcohol, cannabis, nicotine, it doesn't really matter. Porn, okay, a lot of these things disrupt sleep. It's very, very hard to have sound and solid emotional regulation if you don't get quality sleep. Now, people say, well, how do I develop emotional regulation? Emotional regulation comes with confidence. Emotional regulation and sustainability comes with keeping your word to yourself. It comes with taking good care of yourself. Emotional regulation develops by going through challenging circumstances. That for you could be quitting drugs, getting through it successfully, and then going through the next challenging circumstance, carrying the traits that you learned in quitting drugs, applying it to that, and getting through that successfully. This is how you emotionally regulate. And emotional regulation occurs when you don't dramatically disrupt yourself going through that experience. How do you deregulate emotions? Bad things happen. I consume a bunch of drugs, completely jack up my sleep and all my emotions. Now, bad thing that happened resolves, but now I'm dealing with all the chaos and all the outcomes of my substance use. That's how you don't develop emotional regulation, which is crazy because so many people think I consume drugs for emotional regulation. It keeps me calm. It keeps me stable. And like so many cases, that's just not the case. It's just like, it's a lie. It's a delusion that's been crafted in active substance use by people. And when I work with people one-on-one, they're like, this is crazy. Half the stuff I believe to be true about my drug use isn't even true. And this is how we help people quit fast. 48 hours to 18 days is my average turnaround time when I'm working with someone one-on-one. And when I work with people one-on-one, it's direct access to me on calls, on WhatsApp, all that stuff. But anyways, if you want to quit drugs privately, if you are a business owner, entrepreneur, high-level professional, you value privacy, you want to quit in real time, in real life, you can't afford to take off and go to rehab and do all this stuff, we can help you with that. Even if you need a medicated detox, we have MDs that we work with who we can help you with that in your home. We don't have to disrupt your life to quit drugs, okay? Link in the pinned comment of the video description. All right. I've been a daily cannabis smoker for several years, being alone in a new place. It only filled my void, but I'm cutting it out. Very good. So maybe cannabis did serve a role for you in your initial use of having it. And maybe it did help you with the loneliness initially, but you're recognizing it didn't actually fill that void, because does cannabis have the power, the superpower to really cure loneliness, to really cure boredom, to really cure stress? In most cases, the answer is no. But it's when we give cannabis that power that it becomes an incredibly powerful drug. Again, I'm not talking about the aspects of physical dependence and stuff like that that people may have, okay? Using NRT to quit vaping, still a different means of delivery. I used to bash NRT a lot more than I currently do. I don't bash it as much anymore. That's great, though. That's great. You're off to a great start. Yeah. It's Tony, 18 days off of cannabis, I assume, still sweating a lot. Very, very normal with the cold sweats. Very, very normal. But you're feeling more alive, and that is what it's all about. That's great. Okay. I relapsed in Christmas after 9 months weed free, and then again 5 days ago. So how am I going to start over again with the withdrawal? Okay. If you are actively using drugs, you are currently in a constant state of withdrawal. Withdrawal, when you quit drugs, although may be a little more intense, is nothing new. When you are constantly consuming drugs, your body is detoxing them shortly after you stop consuming them. That puts you into an acute state of withdrawal. This is why people get irritable in between cigarettes, in between blunts. This is why people get headaches. This is why people get tension. This is why people get cravings and anxiety in between moments of use. You are actively experiencing withdrawal every day that you're using. So you're scared of something that you are currently experiencing. How crazy is that? Yes, it may be on a slightly higher level. Sure, maybe there's some supplements, some lifestyle modification, some beliefs that we could flip that could change your experience with withdrawal. I do it all the time with people. But like step one, recognize you're not avoiding withdrawal by continuing to use drugs. You're just prolonging your lived experience in and out of a constant state of withdrawal. You just don't feel the symptoms as intensely because you're constantly re-upping the drug consumption. But you are not avoiding withdrawal. The thing you're scared of, you are currently living with. Do you understand what I'm saying here? Okay. Now, all right, guys, let's see here. Quit weed 35 days ago. Dreams and lack of sleep are still going strong. Yeah, Bobby, so usually around 30 days, definitely it's 60 days. If someone's really not doing good on sleep, sometimes we are working with a medical doctor to do like a medicated bridge just to get their sleep cycles reset. You can do supplements. You can look at lifestyle modification. I tell a lot of people, when you quit weed, you quit drinking alcohol, whatever it is, you really got to assess your caffeine intake if you're having trouble sleeping. Because when you're not ramming your body and constantly slowing yourself down with alcohol, cannabis, and other substances, if you quit and you continue drinking the same amount of caffeine or more, you're gonna become more sensitive to it. And it's gonna have a greater impact on sleep, okay? So I always look at caffeine consumption with people after they quit stuff if they're dealing with insomnia. Del Noah, I smoked heavily all day, every day for 24 years. I'm free now. Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's crazy. People think like, I see it all the time in my programs. Someone will call, they'll work with me. They'll be like, this is going to be a tough case for you. I've been smoking weed for 30 years, 40 years plus. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. The only thing that maybe changes is the person's physical dependence to the drug, right? Which can really vary person to person. But awesome. And you're living proof that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I've been smoking marijuana since I was 13, every day since 16 or 17. I'm now 27. I struggle with being physically ill and anxiety become uncontrolled anytime I quit. So you're going through really bad withdrawal symptoms, it sounds like. But there's ways to mitigate that. Now, look, here's the deal. I don't know your exact circumstances. I don't know if you're dealing with anxiety just because you need to create a better environment for your endocannabinoid system to heal in, right? When we're quitting cannabis, it's really about a healing of our central nervous system and our endocannabinoid system. I don't know if you're creating that environment for yourself. I don't know if you have uncontrolled anxiety because there's things in your life that have not been addressed that should be addressed. And that anxiety is like a smoke alarm. It's like a signal in your body that you've been dulling for years with cannabis. It's trying to get your attention, telling you this needs attention. This ought to be done. This must be accomplished. I don't know. I don't know why you're having that. And I can only tell you what to do if I knew why. Guys, I might have to tap out on this live early. I'm still pretty sick. If you watch my CHS video, I feel good, but my voice is clearly still jacked up. If you watch my CHS video, my voice is cracking throughout the whole thing when I filmed it. I started to feel quite a bit better and I filmed, and I was like, I watched the video back. I was like, you don't sound good, dude. So, yeah, as a pothead, it feels very weird to be here, says Anthony Davis. It's not weird. Listen, it is not weird at all that at one point in your life, you had a preference for substance use. It is not weird at all to think that your preferences in life might be changing. This is how most people quit drugs. Their preferences change. All right. So let's see here. Let's see. So someone says, yes, you have to fix the mindset. And you say fundamentally weak mindset. I talk to people every day who struggle with substance use, who have gone through things that are unfathomable to me. They have built companies that I could not imagine building. I have talked to people like that. I have talked to people who have gone through truly horrific life experiences that I could not fathom surviving. This is not a weak person, okay? So the idea of saying fix your weak mindset is kind of BS. Now, will I argue something? Do I think drugs and running from problems and trying to escape can in fact make a person weaker? Yes, I do. I think you get into an argument with your husband or your wife and you say, F it, I'm just going to go get stoned. That does in fact make you weaker. It factually makes your relationship weaker. Okay. So in some small areas, I agree with you, but to say someone has a fundamentally weak mindset because they're addicted to substances is crazy. The amount of strength it takes to go through active substance use. Most people can't do it. That's why most people don't get addicted to drugs, okay? So I gotta disagree with you there. All right. Yeah, John James, every time I get a grip, something horrible happens and I relapse because I can't handle the pain. So your belief is that the substance use alleviates pain. That's a very powerful belief, my friend. You will always relapse. If you have the perception and you hold dear that whatever drug it is you're using has the ability to alleviate the pain of whatever's happening to you, yes, you will always return to substance use. But you know what? You're here for a reason. And that likely reason is because substance use is causing some level of pain in your life. Okay? You wouldn't be here if you weren't experiencing pain from the drug use. So you say to me, I'm using drugs to get out of pain, yet you're on my live and you wouldn't be here unless you had some pain point regarding this substance use. So is that drug really helping you to the degree that you think it is to alleviate the pain? And as far as something horrible happening, every day I wake up and I just say, what multitude of problems am I going to face today? And then I try and get excited about overcoming them to the best of my ability. And I've had bad things. I've had family diagnosed with cancer. My wife has had a miscarriage. I have had bad things happen in my life. I've been slapped with financial things that I never thought I'd have the income to, just financial stuff that I couldn't imagine. Okay? Every day something hits me. This is life. And that you get through these things and you become a strong person. Most people fall apart. Most people cannot get through it. A lot of people struggle to live life. A lot of people do. Okay? You can break that mindset. You can break that mentality and you can develop the character traits that you need in the active state of quitting drugs. Quitting drugs can be the experience that you need to provide you the strength to get through life when it kicks you, okay? And life is going to kick you. This is a fixed cost of being alive. I am living. One day I'm going to die. That's going to kick me one day, okay? And we got to have a lot of stuff in place before that happens. For family, business, this, that, right? This is life. Some people look at that and they say, screw it, I'm not even going to try. I chose to try. Everyone here is choosing to try, okay? So that means you got something in you. But yes, horrible things happen constantly. I've talked to people, things have happened to them that I couldn't fathom. But you have an opportunity now to actually start building a level of mental toughness that I don't think you recognize that you're capable of. That's the experience that quitting substances was for me. That's the experience it can be for you guys if you play your cards right when you're quitting. And this is why we work with the people that we work with, right? There's a lot of people who own a business, who are in a high-level career, and they say, I get it. I get how this mindset could unlock the next level for me. I get how this could bring me to the next level of being a parent even, raising my kids, of just taking care of myself, my own physical health. They get it. They get it, right? It's really, really cool. So, all right, let's see here. All right, let's see. All right, let's see. A breakthrough. Hopefully I have a breakthrough. You create your breakthroughs, right? A breakthrough moment for me in my life came from quitting substances, but I created that breakthrough. Breakthroughs happen, but they usually happen because you're doing something to preclude a breakthrough, right? Like I've had a breakthrough on YouTube after posting 500 videos. You know what I'm saying? Breakthroughs typically come with effort, right? So, Pretty Blunts, 12 days weed free. Awesome. Changed your mindset. Yep. Devalued weed and you're never going back. Awesome. That's what it's all about. It's so simple. I can help people quit drugs in 48 hours. And I don't care what drugs you're on. Even if it needs a medical detox, we can do that. The medical detox might take a few days longer, but it's crazy once you realize how simple this actually is. Okay? I can't stop smoking, Dr. Frank. If you think you can or you think you can't, you're probably right. And this is the level of subconscious rot that substance use creates in a person. I'm not saying this to be mean to you. I'm just saying recognize what this drug is doing to you. I can't. You are developing the I can't mentality. For me, that subconscious rot of I can't eventually spilled over into my business, into my fitness, into my personal life. It erodes away at a person. And this is one of the worst things about cannabis. It's like a lot of people consuming weed, they got it. They got the money, they got the job, they got the family if that's what they wanted, and the white picket fence. But slowly, aspects of their life are being taken away. They know they're not hitting their actual potential in life, and they become okay with it. And like, I think it's one of the worst drugs when it takes advantage of a person like that. Okay, like literally, you're like, drugs can't take advantage of you like people can. People can take advantage of you. People have the ability to manipulate and do things and gaslight people, right? Drugs can't do that. But it's like you're taking advantage of yourself consuming a drug in a bad way, though, not in like a pleasurable way. Like I don't know how to explain it, but you're derailing yourself, and chances are you could be so much more. I had no idea that when I quit drugs, that 9 years later I'd have over 700,000 people following me, all learning how to quit drugs. I had no idea that I'd be working with people all around the world, from Singapore, from Dubai, from the United States, from Canada, business owners, doctors, attorneys, politicians, the mom that's trying to raise 3 kids and her husband's at work all day, so she smokes weed just to catch a break. I had no idea that I'd be here, but like, quitting drugs unlocked that next level for me, and it does for so many people, guys. Okay, yeah. I'd say to people, your stress tolerance levels. Yeah, I was talking about that earlier. The higher your tolerance goes for cannabis, the lower your stress tolerance for life goes. And that is bad. That can make you weak. You have to have a high stress tolerance to pull stuff off day to day in life, okay? It does get boring. Exercise is a good hobby to invest your time in helps. It definitely helps. But I want to make something clear. Exercise is great. But what are you going to do at 2 a.m. if you have a craving? Are you going to drive to the gym? Are you going to go outside if there's a blizzard? Hobbies are great, right? I really like target shooting. Boom, 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 right? But what happens if I dislocate my shoulder and I can't hold a rifle anymore, right? Now what am I going to do? Quitting substances, having purpose, having other things to do is fantastic. But that is not what quitting drugs is about. And sadly, this is what they teach you in like rehabs and other things like that. They teach habit replacement, this, that, habit loops. No, like, you're missing the bigger picture when it comes to quitting drugs. And this is why so many people come back. If it was as simple as habit replacement, everyone would quit drugs. Okay. It's the belief system. It's the mindset first. Habit replacement, finding purpose. I like that. I think it's awesome. Right. It's all supplemental too. Okay. That's what I say to people. All right, guys. Good. The cravings are less and less by each day since I've quit. Great. Great. Yeah. You came to a breaking point quitting weed. Awesome. I'm just going through, guys, to see if we got any other questions in here. Gain health. Great. Olaf from Toronto. I recognize you. Gain health. Yep. Wonderful. My family is affected by my smoking addiction. I need help. So yes, I mean, it's very common, right? When people have a substance use disorder, you typically see your health, wealth, relationships, and sometimes spirituality, if that's a thing for you, being impacted negatively. So that's very common. What happens, though, typically is you'll see your family being negatively impacted. That will stress you out and create anxiety. And if you're sitting here today thinking that cannabis or your drug of choice alleviates stress and anxiety, what are you going to do when you see your family stressing? You're going to go consume more of that drug because of your belief system, even though it's putting you back and back into this cycle. Okay? Do you get what I'm saying? Now, Daniel Miller says, going to pick up the drugs used to be the funnest part. A lot of people feel this. They'll get withdrawals. They'll make the conscious decision, I'm going to go use drugs again. And before they even get the drug in their body, they're already feeling better as they're driving to the dispensary, as they're driving to the gas station, as they're driving to the liquor store. How crazy is that? You didn't even put the drug in your body yet, and you already feel better. So what is that? Is that drug really as powerful as you made it out to be? Or is it up here? Is it your mindset? When I show that to people and we experience that together, they're like, oh my gosh, how broken is this? I'm like, it's very broken. That's why we're talking, but we're going to fix it. Okay. In many cases, it's not actually that broken. Let me backtrack that comment a little bit too. It might be broken in regard to viewing substance use. And a lot of that is broken because of rehabs, 12-step, and just all the dog crap that's out there these days on it. But a lot of these people have very strong mindsets in almost every other aspect of their life, right? I want to make that very, very clear. Okay. So, being clear-headed is definitely a valuable thing. All right. Let's see. Still in progress. Well, Darth Vader, you say, I don't know if I messed up. Time will tell. Well, today's Sunday. Maybe you stopped drinking today. If nothing bad happened between Friday and Sunday, you didn't mess anything up. So unless there's something that I don't know about going on with you, right? Last 5 days, then in last many days, 1.6 months off of alcohol. Awesome gain health. Awesome. Really? Yeah, and gain health. That's what's up, right? You value health. You're gaining your health back. It's great. I love the username. I love the purpose behind it. It's awesome. Okay, let's see. The sleep and the haze. People don't, it's so funny because people say like, oh my gosh, like I was just working with a guy, attorney, drinking a lot of alcohol, right? We had to do a medical detox with him in his house. By the way, his only withdrawal symptom, 35 beers a day down to 0 in one day. We did a medical detox between myself and a medical doctor that I work with. And his worst withdrawal symptom was fatigue. He detoxed over the weekend, was back to work the following week, didn't miss a beat. Absolutely awesome. And this guy was scared to quit because he was like, I got to go to rehab. I'm going to miss work. People are going to ask questions about me. I'm a high level figure. You know, I got a name that's recognized. I was like, dude, don't stress. We can do this at home. We'll do it in 3 or 4 days. We'll crush the mindset. Don't worry about that. You won't need to take naltrexone for the rest of your life not to drink. We'll take care of all this for you. We did. It's awesome. It's really, really cool how cool it is. My point of this story about this guy, he was drinking because he was like, I'm so stressed. He was like, I got constant stress. I have a massive private practice. I'm an attorney. I got all these people. I'm looking after all these cases, blah, blah, blah. I was like, dude, you're waking up every morning in a haze. Your brain isn't even processing what happened to it the day before. I'd be stressed too. Now you compile that on top of a private practice with like 15 employees and all these cases you're dealing with, which some crazy stuff he was dealing with. Oh my gosh, I'd be stressed too, man. You got to flip that belief, right? So yeah, gain health. Trusting your word is massive. That is, people talk about self-care and emotional regulation, and that is the highest form of self-care. Being able to trust your own word and follow through on your commitments. People will quit drugs and they'll say, I got to do self-care. I'm going to take a hot shower. I'm going to go for a walk. All things I recommend, by the way. But like, that's self-care is like seeing through your promises to yourself, right? Someone who cares for you keeps their word to you. They keep their promises to you. That's self-care, right? Yeah, it's only a Band-Aid. Yeah, the drugs tend to be a Band-Aid. And they're not even a Band-Aid. It's not even a Band-Aid. Don't even give drugs that credit. You're giving drugs too much credit. A Band-Aid actually stops the bleeding. Drugs will continue a slow bleed on a person. A drug, it's not a Band-Aid. It's just a continued slow bleed, okay? It's like a Band-Aid made out of fiberglass is what a drug is, okay? Yeah, of course, you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, sure. How long do cravings disappear? It varies from person to person. Most people within 3 months. Some people can take up to a year. But listen, cravings are really, they play a lot on mindset. I work with people. I've had cases with people that I've worked with, and literally within 2 conversations, they've said, I cannot believe this transformation I've had. I have not had a single craving since we spoke. I might have withdrawals, but I do not have a single craving for the drug. That's what happens when we do something. I use a technique called expedited perception realignment. Okay. It's something that I do with people one-on-one. We can do it in the comfort of your own home. Again, guys, if you need help quitting substances, even if you need medical detox, we can do this privately in real time, in real life. You don't have to disrupt your family. You don't have to disrupt your work. We can do this together in your house. Okay. No meetings, no groups, no public shame. I put a link in the video description in the pinned comment. Again, our protocols are specifically designed business owners, entrepreneurs, high-level professionals, okay? All right. Best natural replacement for weed was drinking chamomile tea at night. Awesome. Love it. It's a great thing to do. I got to go drink some tea. I should have brought like a mint tea up here for my throat. It's so scratchy, but I'm powering through it. But the more I'm yelling at my computer, I seem to be developing a headache, which I never get headaches. So that's how I know I'm still sick here, okay? All right, let's see here. And guys, drinking chamomile tea at night. Let's backtrack that a little bit. This is important. So what is it about chamomile tea? Is it the impact of chamomile tea for sleep and stress relief? A little bit. There's evidence for that, okay? But what is it really? It's a cue. You're drinking tea at night, chamomile tea, and that is the cue for your brain to shut off and start relaxing. For a lot of people, the consumption of a drug, I'm going to pound nicotine when I wake up. I'm a high-level investor, and I'm going to snort coke before I go start my day. I work in life insurance and sales, insurance sales. I'm going to bump a line of Adderall before I start my day, okay? Yes. Is that stimulant having an impact on you? Of course it is. But is it more the impact of the stimulant, or has that just become your cue for starting to work, for starting to deal with things, right? Because if Adderall or Coke or whatever, alcohol even, right? You have a lot of people who make millions of dollars who smoke weed and drink alcohol every single day. If that drug had the ability to make you the person you are, everyone who did Adderall would be a millionaire. Everyone who blew Coke would be a millionaire. Everyone who drank alcohol compulsively, like some people do, would be a millionaire. They're not. A majority of people who use drugs aren't, okay? So now it is cool, though. A lot of people who quit drugs, there's a lot of millionaires and very highly successful people, and almost all of them have a history of substance use. And I think early on, the substance use did potentially work to their benefit because I think it allowed them to take risks that they were delusional. They never would have taken. I say that about myself. I don't regret my drug use. I don't think I would have taken the risks that I did if my brain wasn't a little bit damaged. You'd be nuts to take on the challenges I've taken on in life. When I was actively using drugs, by the way, right? Starting a private practice from scratch, having no income, nothing, trying to, right? Like crazy to do that for anyone who here is familiar with entrepreneurship, right? You have to be on drugs. You got to be. But then there comes a point where it changes. Then there comes a point where you're like, okay, what got me started is not going to keep me going. And your preference changes, right? Because that's not a sustainable way of running something. You need sustainability, right? So, yeah, your body was aching from weed when you would wake up at night. You could have been developing the early stages of cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome, right? How to monitor and understand long-term side effects of cannabis after quitting. Yeah, so I have several videos on withdrawal about cannabis. Watch my videos about withdrawal. There's so many potential things. That's just too low of a question. But what you're asking me is very important because quitting substances and maintaining committed to not consume, it is very important to have proper expectations. A lot of people I work with, they'll have gone to rehab, they'll have been in therapy for who knows how long with drugs, and never once did anyone set proper expectations for them. Never once. So imagine going into something, having no idea what to expect. Like imagine just walking into a warehouse that's pitch black, and it's 5,000 square feet big. And you know somewhere in the warehouse, there's massive shelves with boxes on you that could fall and could knock you unconscious. This is how people go into quitting drugs. No expectations, no knowledge of what they're up against. And they're like, I'm just going to go do this. And you know what kills me? a lot of people that I work with, they'll tell me when they call me, they're saying, I'm embarrassed to talk to you. I've built this company. I'm a surgeon. I'm addicted to cigarettes. I've done this. I'm an attorney. I'm addicted to alcohol. I'm embarrassed to ask for help. And I'm like, that would be like me getting divorced and seeing a divorce lawyer and being like, I'm embarrassed that I don't know divorce law. Like, did you get why? That's absurd. Like, it kills me though, because that's a massive barrier for a lot of people that I work with. So proper expectations, sorry for my rant, are super important. When you are education and knowledge gives you power. That's what it gives you. Personal power. It gives you self-power to accomplish things. When you understand your enemy, when you know what you're up against, okay? So let's see here. Let's see. Yeah, see though, but Maccabee, you're still, okay, so you say, yeah, it's definitely a lie. Although I tell myself it helps with emotions, it really doesn't. You say it only keeps me comfy with it till the high goes away. You're not comfortable. You wouldn't be here if you were comfortable. Stop giving cannabis so many benefits that it doesn't have for you. You wouldn't be on my live if you were that comfortable. You'd be high, smoking, not watching this. Do you see the perception of value that you're giving this? Do you see why it's making it hard for you to quit? It's easy, but it's not. This is what I do with people. This is how we flip things around fast for people. I've also been doing this for, 7 years. So 7 years, I guess, 8 years, but 7 years very legitimately, I guess. Okay. All right. Let's see here. How long? Okay. My mom handed me a joint. What's my advice for someone who's enabled? Only you enable yourself. No one enables you to smoke. That's BS. You make your own decisions. Do not pass your power of choice onto someone else, whether it's a living person or a freaking billboard ad for a dispensary on the side of the thruway. You are weakening yourself by doing that. You are making yourself powerless by speaking that way. Do not pass your autonomy onto someone else, your ability to make rational decisions onto someone else. You are taking away from your own strength. Your mom is not enabling you. You smoke. Your mom recognizes that. She's offering you a joint because she probably enjoys cannabis and thinks she's doing a nice thing for you. Okay? That is up to you. And you enable yourself because it's a belief thing. Why would you smoke it to begin with if you want to stop? Right? Okay, let's see here. How to cope with withdrawals. Again, I just dropped a really long video on withdrawals, and there's so many things. I don't know specifically what it is you're trying to cope with. A lot of people try and cope with withdrawals by returning back to consuming the drug, which, right? A little twisted, but it happens all the time. I tell people, look, withdrawal is nothing more than the death of addiction, and that should be celebrated. It's not you suffering, it's the addiction dying, and that's something that you should celebrate, right? You're getting stronger, you're detoxing. See withdrawal for what it really is. Withdrawal means your body is detoxing this poison. It means that your brain is rewiring and rebalancing, and this is exactly what you asked for when you quit. So embrace it. Now, if we're talking about life-threatening withdrawal symptoms, please get a medical detox, get proper medications, and do that safely. Okay, if we're talking about like nicotine withdrawal, most cannabis withdrawal, with the exception of really intense insomnia and some cases of CHS, right? We're usually okay. All right, so Janky, I'm not sure what happened here, Janky. Janky, smoked for 12 years, still dealing with depression from wasted life. Any tips? I have incredible tips for you. Tip number 1, stop wasting life. You've done that. You've quit. Stop wasting life and start building concrete evidence that you are no longer taking life for granted, and you will eventually start to feel better about that. Number 2, this is not a waste. This substance use is not a waste. I was addicted to drugs for 10 years, all types. Nicotine, pornography, stimulants. I had a small stint with Adderall. I abused caffeine, pre-workout products, dimethylalanine products, okay? Right, obviously cannabis. adult media. What else did I forget? I don't know. Binge drinking constantly. None of that was a waste for me. I went through an experience. It was hard. It was sad, but it made me stronger because I came out on the other side. Your journey is not over. Your conclusion of this experience being a waste is you're calling the game too early. You are making a judgment call too early. Let's see what you can turn this into, and then tell me 10 years from now whether or not it was a waste. Okay? Now, also, for the people who live with regret, a lot of people, especially successful people, they associate time spent high as missed success. Yes, you may have missed some opportunities, but opportunity does not equal success. There are a million other factors that could have resulted in things going bad anyways, okay? So, like, don't just assume things didn't work out just because of cannabis. You could have been weed-free, and things still could have been screwed up because there's so many factors in life that play a role. Now, that's both depressing and liberating, in my opinion, okay? So, hopefully that helps you out a little bit, okay? Yeah, and look, if you're focused on the past, you are going to miss the opportunities that are in front of you. And if you miss those opportunities in front of you, I can guarantee you in that case, no, you won't have a shot at success. Okay? You learn from your past. That's how it's not a waste. At every failure I have experienced up to this point in my life has resulted in an elated moment of success. Okay? Success cannot exist without failure. Failure cannot exist without success, right? Does that make sense? Okay? So reframe how you view this, okay? Here's the problem. If you view it as, I've wasted my life, it's making me depressed, and you still hold on to the belief that drugs can cure your depression, you will find yourself using drugs again. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's not so much that you got to fix your life and find your purpose and do all that. It's we got to start with making sure that belief has been cut, okay? What to do when you extend your time to quit because you feel like you're not ready to quit? I tell people we work with people who are ready to quit. That's what I say. There's probably more I could say to this, but like at some point it comes back to a lot of what I was already saying, but at some point you have to stop making excuses for yourself. You just do. And look, I find a lot of people who make excuses, they legitimately want to quit drugs, but they keep making excuses. I see that spill over into their business. I see it spill over into their relationships. I see it spill over into their nutrition and their physical health. It's just, it's a horrible mindset that it creates. You have an opportunity to break that mindset. You have an opportunity to break that victim mentality. You really do. You really do. You have an incredible opportunity to do it. Okay? All right, guys. So let's see here. How do you heal your central nervous system? Again, it starts with building confidence. It starts with keeping your word to yourself. So many people think about nervous system regulation. They're like hot showers, warm showers, cold showers, going for walks, saunas. Yes, that's all great. That is great. But really, imagine if you were in a room full of people and all these people did was constantly lie to you and never see their word through. Your head would be on a swivel. You wouldn't trust them. Your nervous system would be on high alert, fight or flight 24/7. Now imagine if that's what you're living with every day. I'm going to quit. I'm not going to quit. I'm going to quit. I'm not going to quit. Right? So that's how you heal your nervous system. Keep commitments to yourself. Follow through on things. Build evidence that you're capable. That's how you heal your nervous system over time. Go through challenging things. Prove that you can get through them. That's how you do it, right? Now, yes, meditation's awesome. Self-hypnosis, huge fan of that. I kind of do a little bit of that with people sometimes. Awesome. Okay, I do that myself. Prayer, awesome. Hot showers, cold showers. Walking is probably one of my favorite things. Literally, I walk a ton. Walking, I got a walking pad in my office. I have a treadmill in my basement. I live in a beautiful neighborhood with an incredible walking path through the forest. Paved path, it's gorgeous, okay? I love walking. So, okay? Great way to balance the nervous system. All right, guys, I actually have a very important call that I have to take for one of my clients now. It's almost 8:30 and they're calling me early. We're going to end it. Link in the video description in the pinned comment if you want to learn more. Oh, I ended. Crap, I hung up on them. Bye. I got to get this call.